Hello, welcome to session 4. For this session, a local school got in touch with me and told me that they're doing a wildlife and nature photography competition. By the way, that's amazing. And they asked me if I'd consider giving them some advice and tips on wildlife and nature photography. So you twisted my arm. I've come outside for this session. I absolutely love being outside, so this is a bit of a dream for me. The sun is shining. We're just getting the end of the day sunshine. If I turn this way, you can just about see it. Let me tap the screen on the sun. Is it going to change? And we're going to work around it. I'm going to teach you how to shoot nature, how to shoot plants and trees, different tricks with light or making things look bigger or smaller than they are, macro photography, so getting in really close and shooting things and just making the best of what's outside. So let's go. So it's quite a clear sky today, which is amazing. You can see above me, the clouds vary, but it's quite a clear sky. We can see lots of blue sky, which is always a great thing. Now, one thing photographers love is what we call golden hour. Golden hour is essentially that time of day where the sun is either setting or has set. And the light from the sun is really low. It's basically just above the horizon point. Not only is it low, but it's a really nice, hot, soft orange colour, hence why we call it golden hour. It's the most amazing light. I think we might get some today. Okay, so something absolutely awesome about shooting outside and photographing nature is the colours. They're always amazing. So you just have to be on the lookout for amazing things, including this. Look what I've just found behind me. How awesome is that? I'm assuming the water is that colour because of the kind of soil that it is travelling over. It looks quite clayey, but I'm gonna take some photos now and let's see how we get on. Okay, so here we go. I think rather than taking the photo like this, which is quite obvious, what we should do is get right down, take the camera right, look at that, and see where the river goes. Tap on the river, take your photo. Okay, so another thing to be on the lookout for when you're photographing stuff in nature is anything that's like unusual or strange or something that you wouldn't often happen. So for example, behind me, we've got the sun that's starting to go down, but only the tops of the trees are lit because the sun is now dropped. Rather than being straight up in the air, it's dropped and it is sort of level and it's just coming over these trees opposite. So I love the fact that only the tops of the trees are lit. So let's take a photo. I'm really out of breath. I'm power walking into the woods so that we catch the light, but that means that every clip I do sound like I've run a marathon. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think I want a lot of sky in, and I want the image to be straight with the trunks going in lines like that. So let's get the image straight like that. And I quite like the idea of the trees framing up this side and then down along the bottom. I like that, so let's take the photo and give it an edit. Okay, here's another gorgeous example of how light makes everything amazing. See how the light is coming through the gap in the trees over there, and it's shining onto these grasses and creating like a stripe of light. Now, rather than taking it like this, if I bend down and do it from there and get some sky in, it looks lovely. Or to keep it the same colour palette, cut the sky out, tap on the glass so it focuses. There you go. Look at this, this is awesome. This is where all of the ice, what once was a little stream, and the stream has frozen over and has created ice, but the ice is sitting above the water underneath and it's created these awesome patterns, including these droplets here, which keep dropping off every so often. Let's try and get a really cool picture of this. So let's tap the camera. Let's go even further above. Let's do it like this. There we go, maybe have the, yeah, that's it. Tap the screen, get your photo, let's edit it up. Here's another one. The patterns on the ice are just amazing. I absolutely love the spots of water underneath the ice as well. I think it looks so cool. If we zoom out a little bit, let's use these trees to frame. There we go. Let's get that taken. I really like the texture of this foliage, but if we were to take it from here, it's very confusing because everything's on the same layer and there's a lot going on. So let's get in really close and get some macro close-up photography, and we'll be able to see it a lot clearer. So I've done all the usual prep. I've cleaned my lens. I'm going to tap the screen as well to make sure it really focuses, and the lighting's good, so hopefully this should come out well. Here we go, look at this. Amazing. So we could take it like that. Okay, so that the background is slightly darker than the branch, or if we turn around this way, there we go, look, the sky behind it, and we can take it with the sun behind. There we go. That looks nice too. So make sure you move everything around. If you do it underneath, it becomes a silhouette like we did in session 2. Or if we go really up close, further up close, but down, and tap the screen, everything's just a little bit closer. There you go, look. Okay, so the sun is setting, and this is a really good example of how sunshine, as it approaches golden hour, can be absolutely glorious to work with. So look at how lovely this is. This is a long lane, but the only bit where the sun is coming through is in that little bit there, and it's creating like a little shard of sunlight across the ground, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. So that would make a lovely photo. Now I've gone right into where this sun is setting. I'm literally stood in the sunlight with the sun behind me. But if we turn around this way, the sun, you can see, is shining on this tree. Now let me show you how we can take a photo of this and make it look awesome. Because the sun is shining on this tree, but the background behind the tree is really dark, if we were to take this photo and put it in black and white, the tree would look like it was really bright and white. And the dark background behind it would create even more impact, make it look like it's got a more dramatic contrast. So I absolutely love these. I think these are cow parsley, I think. I'm no expert. They're really hard to see though. If you move the camera around, they get easy to see. But because they're so spindly and delicate, they're quite hard to make out. So what we need to do is go in much closer. There we go, you see. So I found a dark background to go behind it. I've tapped the screen and now we can see all those details. Depending on where you want to focus, I'm focusing on this front branch here. It's up to you, but we can take that and edit it up to look really beautiful. So the sun is still setting behind me. So if I tap the sky, it focuses on the sky and it makes me quite dark. Whereas if I tap my face, whoa, it focuses on me and the sky gets blown out or overexposed, which means it's too bright. So what we can do is we can take a photo with the sunset in it. I'm going to demonstrate on this selfie. So tap the sky, get the sun in focus. All of those trees behind me have become silhouettes, which is pretty cool. So let's take this photo and I'm going to show you how to edit it. Okay, so you can see behind me there are some grasses which are, which are really ethereal and dainty and whimsical, and they look absolutely beautiful. So this calls for some more macro photography. Now it's moving around quite a lot, but the sun is hitting it, which brings out all the details that we want. And the sun's gone a bit orange because of the sunset, which is gorgeous. So when we're happy, take the photo. That looks pretty good. Look at this. This light is incredible as the sun is just setting. It just looks amazing. So what we could do is if we go kneel down a bit and then tip the camera up, it makes the sky so much bigger, but we can still see the sun as well. Okay, so this is cool. We've come across loads of molehills, which are a nightmare for gardeners, but for photographers with a camera phone, they can be awesome because we are literally going to create a mountain out of a molehill. So put your camera on the grass. Now you don't want it in front of the sun because, see if I can get it here, it'll cast a shadow. There you go, look. So you want it to the side, and what you want to do is put the camera like that on the ground, tip it up slightly, tap the screen. Oh, there you go, hang on. There we go. And look at the size of that molehill. It suddenly looks absolutely massive. This is why I absolutely love exploring outdoors so much, because I'm in Walesby Woods. Look at what I've found. Now I believe these are man-made, but they are tree tunnels. So all of the tops of the branches have been cut on purpose to make the longest tunnel. Should we go in and explore? So to get a really good photo of this, we want to crouch down and put the camera almost on the floor and then tap right at the end and then get it. And then there's your photo. Okay, so another photography technique is called leading lines. It basically means where something comes from the foreground and stretches right into the background, and you decide where to place the focus. What this does though is it adds loads of depth. Okay, so if we focus on here, right at the foreground of the photo, it makes the rest of the branch that's stretching out look really long. It makes the photo really look like it is this kind of photo that you could jump into. Now if I was to tap at the back of the branch and shift the focus that way, now the front of the branch is blurry. It looks really lovely. You can just play around with the focus, but this leading lines technique is a photography technique often used in all kinds of scenarios. Now usually whenever I go for a walk, it's a nice relaxing meander through the forest or through the countryside, but today I'm up against the setting sun and the light is dwindling, so I don't have a lot of time. So this walk is not particularly relaxing because I've got such a stomp on. Okay, so as the sun sets and goes down, you can see that the trees are becoming like silhouettes because they're being lit from behind. Now this scene is absolutely gorgeous, but if we were to get right down to the ground and try and get the tops of the trees in, makes the trees look even bigger. So photographing trees in a puddle always ends up looking really cool. Not just because the image is upside down, but just because it just looks quite dreamy. So if you get as close to the puddle as possible, so there's loads of water, which means there's a good reflective surface, move around, find which bit you want to photograph, and then go for it. And then capture the image you want. So that was part one of our wildlife outdoor photography session. What I want you to do is I want you to spend a really good few days and I want you to produce 6 or 8 really varied photos for me. Using our techniques that I've shown you today. So going outdoors, even if it's raining, getting under an umbrella, using your garden or your front yard, and see what you can capture using your camera phone or iPad. Part 2 will also revolve around nature and wildlife, and will teach you, hopefully, how to photograph animals and birds and whatever wildlife is out in your local park or garden. So see you then.